how are you? How are you doing today? Let me know in the comments if you guys are here. Just wanted to wipe my screen for a little bit because I realize sometimes when I don't do that, yeah, it's much better. So, Eunice Chan here. If you guys have not been on my channel before, if you guys haven't seen any of my videos before, please say hello. We like to do lives around here because I love the interaction that happens. I love reading your comments. I love the engagement. I love just being here like in real time with you. And even if you guys like tune back in, to this video later, like you could just comment and I will come back and chat with you. So it will be amazing. Today we have a beautiful, very healing conversation actually. And this is a very big topic for me because when I started going on this journey of learning to focus back on myself, learning to stop focusing on other people, it was a very big lesson, and there was such a huge opportunity for me to heal. And I think, the reason I say, there's a lot of healing that's involved is because I feel for the most part, when we have been taught, especially in our childhood and growing up, and when we are learning to build our identities, for the most part, when we have been taught to focus on other people other than ourselves, it robs us from the most important thing that we can give to ourselves, which is our identity. Our identity is how we know how to establish ourselves. It is how we identify ourselves. It's how we, know who we are and our preferences and what we really want, what our purpose is, and even the ability to connect with ourselves in the world so that we can actually establish ourselves confidently as the person we know ourselves to be. But when we have been taught to focus on other people, when we have been told that, essentially we've been given the message that other people are more important than you, other people's opinions are more important than you, other people's life events are more important than yours, right? You always come second. You always come second place. And it is probably a self-centered thing to be focusing on yourself and not others. It sends a very hurtful message to who we are, because our purpose in life and our job here is on this planet is to thrive, is to learn to be happy, is to give from our best self. But can you imagine, how can we possibly be our best self when we focus our entire life and all of our attention and all of our energy and all of our emotions, devoting our thoughts to surrendering it to everyone else except ourselves? So it doesn't matter where we go, what kind of lifestyle we have, what circumstances we have, what thoughts we're thinking. None of those matter, because if we have been taught that we are always coming in second place, it doesn't matter what our circumstances are, what community we are in, where we live, where we come from, we will never learn that we are actually the most important person to ourselves on the planet. And so I wanted to share with you, how do we stop focusing on other people today and what to do about that? Because I feel like, a lot of people, we talk about like, how do I not think about other people? But the more we think about not thinking about that thing, the more we think about it. It's just human nature. It's like when I tell you to not think about something, that's exactly where your mind goes, because your mind receives an instruction to think about that, even though it's in a negative, even though I said the sentence in a negative way, like don't think about that, that is what your mind perceives. It's like, okay, well, I will think about it. So that's what happens every single time when we try not to think about other people. Now, what what I want to, start by is addressing the fact that our attention is the most, perhaps the only one thing that is the most important thing, the most valuable thing to us on the planet. Because where our attention goes, that's where our focus goes. Where our attention goes, that substance is what will grow. And if we spend our entire life putting our attention onto other people, we're investing, right? We're investing our time, we're investing our thought, our energy, our emotions onto the lives of other people, being engaged with what it is that they're doing, but we don't give the same amount of attention to ourselves. So what happens to our identity? What happens to, building ourselves? What happens to knowing our preferences? What happens to discovering the substance that is inside? What happens to getting to really know ourselves? What happens to even understanding what our life purpose is? The truth is, a lot of times we go outwards to find ourselves, right? When we have been spending our entire life focusing on the lives of other people, what we actually really need to do, we think that we need more time. We think that we don't have enough hours in the day, but the truth is we've just surrendered it all. It's not that we don't have enough time. It's that we spend our waking hours, probably like 50% of our day, we spend it thinking about the news, what's happening in the lives of other people. We scroll on social media to see what other people are doing, what vacations they're taking, how their life looks like, who just had a kid, and it's no wonder that when we are not investing the same amount of attention to ourselves, it's no wonder we are unhappy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised about that. It's no wonder we're unhappy. So my life took a really big turn creatively, with my self-expression, with my work, with my happiness, with my relationships, and even my intimate relationships. My life took such a big turn when I learned to focus on myself. And it wasn't just a skill to focus on myself. Like, I learned what it really feels like, the resonance with tuning into my spirit, with tuning into my soul, with tuning into who I really am. And then I also learned the vibration, I also felt the vibration of what it really feels like to be comfortable with that, to feel safe with that. So that's what I kind of want to talk about today, is it's not just like a, 3-step technique, like do this, right? To focus on yourself. But it's like allowing yourself to really tune into the frequency of you, such that something that you were so uncomfortable in doing before, something that you were terrified in doing before, something that you were probably very shied away from doing, focusing on yourself, thinking about yourself, getting to know yourself, spending time with yourself, spending alone time, and all those things, suddenly feels natural and comfortable and actually pleasurable to you. So the truth is, spending my focus on myself wasn't always easy. It wasn't always easy. And I would always find myself snapping back to think about other people. Like, as soon as I pick up my phone, as soon as someone sends me a message, as soon as I see someone else, do better than me, comparison was a huge thing for me. And let me know if this is the same for you, but comparison was so huge for me. Almost to a point where I feel like it just depletes my energy when I see someone doing better. Because I was raised in the environment, and I believe so many of you guys as well, is like, I've been raised in an environment where I've been told to look at others. Have you ever heard of people telling you, like, look at how they're doing. Look at how they're doing. Look at how well they're doing. What would they think? Why don't you ask them first before you choose? Ask them first and see what they think, and then you make your decision, right? Think about others first. It's kind of like the more selfless thing to do. We've been taught that it's, it's a virtue to put other people first, to think about what other people think first before we think about ourselves. And so when we haven't trained it that way, it's no wonder that we stop seeing ourselves. We stop asking ourselves questions. We stop inquiring ourselves. We stop being curious about ourselves. It's no wonder that we stop focusing and investigating in ourselves, because we think that, well, there's the entire world to investigate out there. What do I have? What do I have? I've got nothing, right? There's nothing interesting inside of me, because I've been told that the world is really more of an interesting place and I should put other people first. So when we haven't taught that our value and who we are and our power is always discussed and it's always looked at in relation to others, right? So we'll only feel powerful when we do better than others, and we feel more powerless when we feel like we're behind others. Then we're always on this spectrum of someone is always better than the other. And it feels better that when we're ahead, and it feels worse when we feel like we're falling behind. But it's so difficult to get ourselves out of this spectrum where there's someone who's always doing better and someone who's always falling behind. Someone who's happier, and then in comparison, even though I'm happy, or I was happy before I thought about this, or before I thought about this other person, when I looked at the other person, well, they looked so much happier than me. All of a sudden, I'm reminded that I'm falling behind, right? And so all of my unhappiness just comes up, even though I was actually happy in the first place. But in comparison, my life looked a little less shiny. So this is the worldview, is that we have been taught that our value and who we are and our identity is always viewed in relation to other people. So who I am doesn't really matter on its own. I always have to find my place in relation, in association to others, so that I know where I stand. I remember as kids, and especially in school, I'm sure you guys have done this too. Let me know if you've done it. When you receive a test back, right? So you've gotten your grades, you've gotten your marks, and then you receive your test scores, and all the kids, instead of just looking on their own test with their own grades, all the kids are like, oh, what did you get? What did you get? How did you do? And there are some people who would like hide their grade. There are some people who would be nosy and, they're asking about everyone. This is what happens, and we did this even as children. We've learned this. We've learned to do this as far as we can remember. So this is what happens when we live in a world of a spectrum, when we only know how to compare ourselves to others. We've been taught not to focus on ourselves. And the reason why it's so hard to do it now as adults, now that we're free thinkers, now that we are no longer under the influence of maybe the people that we grew up with in the past. We no longer live with our parents, probably. We no longer live in the same society. We no longer live in the same environment. So why do we keep thinking that way? How do I stop it? That's the question. How do I stop focusing on others when I really, really I'm trying really hard, Eunice, but it's hard to stop thinking about what other people are doing or what they're thinking. The truth is, and this is what I've discovered, that every single time I tuned into focusing on myself and thinking about myself and spending time with myself, especially when I was not yet very comfortable with it, it was really hard. And it was almost like an overwhelming feeling, like I was going to go into a panic attack. Like I just wanted to flee. I just wanted to run away. I just wanted to do anything else. I wanted to pick up my phone and I wanted to start scrolling. Like I wanted to do anything else but think about myself. because thinking about ourselves can be so overwhelming. If we have been taught that there's nothing inside, there's really nothing interesting inside. So there are a couple of thoughts that can come up, and I want to cover the few of those thoughts because chances are you may be experiencing one of those feelings, and I experienced all of them. I just wanted to share all of them with you. So the first thing is, well, if I've been told that I've really got nothing and the external world is really more interesting and, you know, I should really think about other people first, then what do I have to give? Like, you know, it would be quite natural to think that if I focused on myself long enough, I would hit a wall because I haven't focused on myself in my entire life, so I really don't know who I am. So the idea of sitting with myself long enough and meditating and journaling and, you know, really getting to know myself, there was this fear that I possibly will feel like a failure because I won't know what's inside. And that feels really scary. It's like willingly walking into a dark abyss of darkness, a dark abyss of nothingness. When you know that it is just an empty void, and when you walk in there, you will find nothing. That is a really scary feeling. So that is the first thought. The other thing that, you know, has also come across my mind is, what if I knew that I was actually that powerful? Like, what if I knew that everything that I've been taught was actually a lie, and that the truth is I am really that powerful? Can I stand knowing that I am that powerful? And if I were really that powerful, and if I were infinite source condensed into a human being, if I had that infinite quality inside of me, that infinite intelligence inside of me, that would mean that everything that I knew about myself was a lie. Can I handle that? That was a really scary thought, because after I overcame the fact that, okay, well, maybe I am not as empty, as hollow as I imagined myself to be. Maybe I could be the most powerful being and the most infinite being that I know. But what if I actually was? That thought scared the daylight out of me. Isn't that scary? To know that what if your power was there in your entire life, that you were actually born with it, that all this creativity, all this intelligence, all this wisdom lived within you, all the answers you need lived within you, then everything, all the mistakes that you have made, all the fear that you have, all the things that you are holding on to is a lie, is an illusion, and you are being called to put them down. As the most infinite creator of your life, you are being called to put them down. I have never felt more confrontational with myself. So that is the second thought that came to me. The third thought is, okay, well, what if I actually was? And what if I can actually move on from that? What if I can actually receive the knowledge of my amazingness, of my infinite quality? What if I can actually sit in it? Can I hold it? How long can I hold it for? Right? Because the more you spend time with yourself, and this is usually how it happens, the more you're willing to spend time with yourself, the more qualities of yourself unfolds. And so it really is a never-ending process. And the more you find out, the more you will find out. The more willing you become, to find out even more, to discover even more. You become even more curious because you're like, oh, okay, well, there's this facet of me, and then there's that, and then there's this story, and then there's, oh, like this is how my life has unfolded in the past, and now it's reflecting all these qualities about myself. And can we hold the feeling of this infinite unfolding, this infinite discovery, this infinite potential that is being stored inside of us and continue to just unravel that bit by bit instead of thinking to ourselves, okay, well, I've done enough. That's it. That's what a lot of people tend to do. So can we hold it? Can we feel safe to unfold even more upon the discoveries that we have made, to go even further, to see how far we can go with discovering ourselves, with learning about ourselves? Because there's infinitely much more we can find out, and we can become, and we can embody. So the way that I did it, so here's what I'm going to share with you, because this is what brought me home. This is what brought me back to myself, is that the same amount of attention that you have been giving away to other people, right? Reading other people's stuff, looking at other people's life, feeling a certain way about them, or feeling a certain way for them, or what they told you and what they said, or how they made you feel, or what they did to you. And put all that attention and bring that into yourself. Put all that attention, all that time, and all that focus, steer that into yourself, and see what happens. And you can do that bit by bit. Like, you don't have to do it all in one go, because you're like, okay, well, I've got all this time to spend with myself now. I don't know what to do. But I'm going to tell you, it's not easy, because your mind's gonna wander, your mind's gonna go all the different places, and it's not going to feel safe to be centered and anchored in yourself. But over time, the more you discover about who you are as a person, and you start to see more of the qualities of you starting to come through, the more you start to see like the beauty and the magical creation that you are, the more you're going to open up and relax into finding out more. And this is how it happens. It just kind of unfolds like bit by bit. But then you have to be the first one to take that step. You have to first be the one to answer to how amazing you are, just by anchoring in your own presence, just by feeling safe to look within yourself. Right? And then all of a sudden, it's like this massive whoosh that happens. You'll feel this click. The click feels like you're finally on the right track. All of a sudden it makes sense to you that, oh, I don't have to focus on other people anymore. Like, focusing on myself feels so good. I learn all these things about myself. I figure things out really quickly. And I have all these creative impulses, these downloads are coming to me, these ideas are coming to me. Why do I have to focus on other people anymore? Like, I don't have to do that anymore. And so all of a sudden, this click happens, this massive shift takes place in your life. And then you'll find yourself unhinged from the old ways of thinking, your old ways of operating. So, from then on, you'll start to see how amazing you are. You'll start to unravel and uncoil. You'll start to loosen up and be even more curious about yourself, the amazingness that you carry, the magic inside of you. You become more curious. You become a lot more adventurous with, just trying new things within yourself. And that is how you unravel to become an entirely new person. This is how you turn 100% focus within yourself. And it becomes so delicious. It becomes addicting. It becomes the best journey that you can walk in your life. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. I've actually been wanting to do this video for a very long time, but I haven't really felt that message land in my body until, recently. And, I am living this kind of life where, there's no point looking at others. There's no point comparing myself, because we have entirely different lives. It's not just about me being different from you, but it's about, like, this is what I'm here to do. This is what you're here to do. You're here to express yourself and expand yourself to the extent that you were born to be. Nothing else and nothing less. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helps inspire you to see like how far you could go to explore within yourself, to learn who you are, and one day see the kind of person that you were meant to be. So thank you for those of you guys for tuning in. I had such a pleasure delivering this message, and let me know what you guys think of this content. I would love to hear your thoughts. So with that said, take care, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.